Hey, people. I stole some cuts from OAN and the Dollar Vigilante, and anything else I steal, I'll leave a link below here.
And I looked into it, and this is on the WHO's website for all the fact checkers out there. I'm just reporting what's on because we all love the the World Health Organization, right? We all do, and Bill Gates is such a hero. He's trying to save us all. He's referred numerous times as this is epidemic 1, and soon we're going to be coming out with epidemic 2.
Most of the work we're going to do to be ready for pandemic 2, I call this pandemic 1.
And it says right in the World Health Organization document that they plan to run 2 exercises during this year, as of right now, and they already have started the first one. And as we can see, it basically is an exercise. It's mostly an exercise in misinformation and propaganda, which puts out all kinds of scary stuff that gets the whole world scared, even though there isn't really an actual epidemic.
Emerging reports suggest further links between China and anti-Trump groups in the U.S. One America's Christian Rose examines those claims.
China is still refusing to share the information we need to keep people safe.
The U.S. intelligence agencies are continuing a probe into the origins of COVID-19 amid mounting evidence of a globalist conspiracy to establish sweeping population control. The virus has triggered devastating lockdowns across the advanced economies, and in this situation, experts say, whoever controls the cure may control the future of humanity. And while the media, Democrats and the deep state continue to dismiss hydroxychloroquine as a likely cure, they are pushing for a failed Ebola drug, remdesivir, instead.
When you take away a medicine, and not just the WHO, not just the WHO, the FDA, the CDC, Tony Fauci, close everything, because we can take all that money they're making on their patents and we can give it to the victims of this plague of corruption.
Recent reports claim the remdesivir patent is controlled by mainland China, Bill Gates and the WHO, while the Clintons may have a stake in it as well. The entire cover-up is allegedly backed by globalist billionaire George Soros. Such allegations have been dismissed by the mainstream media and China as a conspiracy theory, saying California-based Gilead owns a patent for remdesivir. But Gilead itself was reported as saying if it uses its own drug, it would get into legal trouble with China.
According to the information we have now, Gilead Sciences indeed has applied for 8 patents, and 3 of them have been authorized. 5 of them are still under review.
China reportedly holds parts of the remdesivir patent through the UN agency UNITAID, whose main donor since 2006 is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Separately, the Clinton Foundation also worked with UNITAID on a $100 million project to study HIV/AIDS in the past. UNITAID also has offices near the Chinese bioweapons lab in Wuhan, which top Republicans suspect was funded by none other than Dr. Anthony Fauci and the NIH.
That was fooling around with these viruses. Prohibited it. Despite that, Dr. Fauci gave $3.7 million to the Wuhan laboratory. We paid for it. We paid for the damn virus that's killing us.
The coronavirus conspiracy gained further evidence when Democrat Party officials openly sided with the Chinese Communist Party to denounce hydroxychloroquine as a likely cure. Chloroquine was developed in Germany in the 1930s, and most of it is made by German drug maker Bayer, which recently gave the US millions of pills for free to battle COVID-19. Some say Democrats attack the drug only because President Trump spoke in support of it. But others point to a foreign trade aspect of it, saying Democrats want to get the COVID cure from China, not Germany or the EU.
This is not about COVID or about a virus. This is about gaining control over the human race and limiting population. Limiting population with a virus that was created in a lab and funded by the United States of America, by several people in the United States of America, along with other countries.
The US and its Five Eyes Intel partners point out COVID-19 broke out shortly after President Trump forced China into a Phase 1 trade deal to reduce Chinese control of the US economy. Now that China may be striking back, there is concern that the deep state, Democrat cabal, and the big pharma are working to derail President Trump's re-election and force the American people into total submission and control. Christian Rose, One America News.
A few days ago, the Hell Organization had like a fundraiser, and it was all, I don't watch any of their stuff. It's all disgusting. But apparently all the world's leaders, misleaders is what they are. Everything's the opposite of what they say it is. All pledged. And it looks like they read off the exact same script, the exact same things. And then they all gave Bill Gates, kill Bill Gates, $8 billion that wasn't theirs, actually. No, it's so nice to pledge stuff that isn't yours. It's money stolen from the people in their area, extorted. And Bill got $8 billion. Nice job, Bill. Wow, that investment of like $1 billion or so that you put into all this stuff's already paid off eightfold. And as soon as those vaccines are ready, holy cow, 7 billion vaccines every year or twice a year, I think he even said once. That's going to be hundreds of billions of dollars. You're going to like triple your net worth in the next year or two. Amazing, amazing little scheme you got there, Kill. But here's the pledges of the misleaders. And before I play it, well, actually, I'll play this first. So here's the pledges of the misleaders. And it's, look at them all reading off their script, the exact same thing.
Better diagnostics, treatments, and a safe and effective vaccine.
COVID-19 diagnostics, therapeutics and vaccines.
Largement du développement et du déploiement rapide de diagnostics, vaccins et traitements efficaces.
Universal access to vaccination, treatment and diagnostics.
Equitable access to new COVID diagnostics, therapeutics and vaccine.
We must all work together on improving diagnostics, accelerating therapies, and ultimately developing a vaccine.
We need to make vaccines, treatment, and diagnostics accessible to everyone.
Vaccines, treatments, and diagnosis will be the most effective way to do it.
We need new diagnostics, vaccines, treatments, and an equal distribution to all.
On equitable access to diagnostics, treatments, and vaccines.
And affordability of the vaccines, therapeutics, and diagnostics
in order to develop adequate treatments and vaccine.
Man, that reminds me of watching the news. Oh, this internet. As John Kerry said about 10 years ago, this little thing called the internet is making it really hard to govern. Yeah, it is, isn't it, guys? You poor politician guys. It's so hard when people actually have access to information. So here it is. This is from the World Health Organization's website, and it came out in September 2019, so 2019, so last year, before any of this happened. And you might notice a big thing that they like to use as an image for the coronavirus right on the front cover. And also, very interesting, a lot of people all wearing masks. Well, you can read through the whole document. We'll have the link down below. This is all factual information, fact checkers. And here's their progress indicators by September 2020. So these are the things they want to be already in process by September of this year. And one of the points says the United Nations, including WHO, conducts at least 2 system-wide training and simulation exercises, including one for covering the deliberate release of a lethal respiratory pathogen. And exercise. If you haven't been paying attention, anytime the government or any sort of government-related, in this case you can call it a sort of a crony capitalist controlled government sort of related organization like the WHO, whenever they say they're doing an exercise and they say where or when, run, get the F out of there. Every time it's the actual thing.
William Casey, CIA director,
We'll know when our disinformation program is complete, when everything the American public believes is false. The CIA owns everyone of any significance in the major media. William Coley, CIA director. Deception is a state of mind and the mind of the state. James Angleton, infamous CIA operative. It's all a mind game. They don't call it television programming for nothing. It tells you what to wear, what to eat, what to think, what to love, what to fear, who to ridicule, who to condemn. One of the saddest lessons of history is this. If we've been bamboozled long enough, we tend to reject any evidence of the bamboozle. We're no longer interested in finding out the truth. It's simply too painful to acknowledge, even to ourselves, that we've been taken. Once you give a charlatan power over you, you almost never get it back. Almost never. But we're fricking going to. But that's what it is. It's a bamboozle. It's a mind program. This is cognitive dissonance. This is a definition of it. Sometimes people hold a core belief that is very strong. When they're presented with evidence that works against that belief, the new evidence cannot be accepted. It would create a feeling that is extremely uncomfortable called cognitive dissonance. And because it is so important to protect the core belief, they will rationalize, ignore, and even deny anything that doesn't fit in with the core belief. Mark Twain, it's easier to fool people than to convince them they have been fooled. Why? Because they don't, understandably, want to realize they've been fooled. But it's a wonderful thing to realize you've been fooled. It's a great gift, because from that point you will not be fooled any longer. It's a wonderful gift. This is another fundamental aspect of the bamboozle. It's called Stockholm Syndrome, a psychological phenomenon in which hostages express empathy and have positive feelings towards their captors, sometimes to the point of defending them. And this scene from the first Matrix movie captured the Stockholm Syndrome so perfectly. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged, and many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it. And this great man, Giordano Bruno, it is proof of a base and low mind for one to wish to think with the masses or the majority, merely because the majority is the majority. Truth does not change because it is or is not believed by a majority of the people.
So if you're thinking majority of the world's thinking the same way you are, it's time to question your belief. We've been trained to be sheep for a long time. If you see a lot of them, if you see more than 10% of them thinking the same way as you, you're probably just a sheep. And they trained us with this in this Psalms 23. And probably half America knows this. They were trained this as children. But if we look at it here in the Greek, it's nothing like what you remember. A psalm to David, the Lord tends me, and not one thing lacks for me. In the place of tender shoots there he encamped me, at the water of rest. He nourished me, my life he returned, he guided me upon roads of righteousness because of his name. For even I should go in the midst of the shadow of death, I shall not be afraid of evils. For you with me are your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare before me a table, right opposite the ones afflicting me. You anointed with oil my head, and your cup is intoxicating me as most excellent. And your mercy pursues me all the days of my life, and my dwelling is in the house of the Lord for a duration of days. And I'm not saying that that's a correct interpretation of this Greek, but everybody who watches my channel, they know I specialize here in this Hebrew, and it's a total different book. And just from the beginning, this a Psalm of David is just not. This is from somewhere of dude. This is this LDUD is of dude, and it's written like that because these are writings that were on the bathroom wall from somewhere. And if there was a tack here, we'll see it sometimes. This will say doodle. It'll read backwards, D-U-D-L, the doodle dude, the guy who's writing, drawing pictures and rhymes on the bathroom stall. And this is from somewhere. From M is from, Z is cut, to cut from. If I cut from a piece of cake, that's some. Give me some. Give me a cut from. Somewhere. From somewhere. Of dude. You. This is not Jehovah. So we've got to break that first. This is you. Roy. R-O-Y-A-L. You. Royal. Rush. This is Roy, R-O-Y is a word for king, the royal rush. So Psalms is the worst about this, and they made up all these Psalms, and most every word in the Psalms is only used one time. They're used many other places in the Bible, but they give them a different meaning, so they'll give it a different word number. And they'll say it's only used one time. The majority of the words in Psalms will be like that. It'll be a brand new word. And it's not because it's not used anywhere else. It's because, and they do this a lot throughout the Bible. But it happens in Psalms mostly because they were really trying to force the meaning on it. This is vegetation or grass, tender, herb, grass, 13 times, and then this one time it'll be green, herb, new. So most all these words are just used one time. So you really can't check it like that. You have to study it and figure this language out, because they just make it up all as they go along. And so I got these two pulled off in Greek and Psalms, and they're short. Or Greek and Hebrew, and they're short, and I'm gonna break them down and show you how to read this. But it's not what you think. This is Ka, K-A. It starts with A, it reads backwards, Ka, and then you hit the mirror, so you read it backwards again, Kaka, poo-poo, a thub. If you Google T-H-U-B, you're gonna get that same thumbs up that you're gonna press down here below this movie if you like it. That's a thub. It means good. I liked it. The thub. Same word we use today. The cock-a-thumb. Cock-a-thumb. Which said, make read punny. P-U-N-Y. Funny and punny. The climb. K-L. It has a tax. This reads backwards. K-L-I-M. And then J-M-Y. To climb Jimmy. And so Jimmy, there's two words they give the meaning days. One of them's yum, and one of them's Jimmy. And sometimes they'll say Jimmy means years. They change it up. But a yum day is the day as in the sun shines, and a Jimmy day, J-M-Y, is a day as in 24 hours long. To make read funny, climb Jimmy high, H-I-Y, to climb Jimmy high, use in tie, Babbitt in bite, have you, lark. A lark is overlooking, climb Jimmy high, to use in tie, Babbitt. A Babbitt is either in bite, in the house is a bite, or a babbit is an ancient word for an insect, is a babbit, to have you. And so this lark, L-A-R-K, is from above looking down on, to lark on. But they'll fool them. If there was a tack like this here, this would read backwards first, K-R-A-L. And so when you see this word, it'll probably be spelled K-R-A-L, and you would see it just so. And so if there's a tack, it would read backwards. It would be divine knowledge, to learn first, crawl. You know, a kid's gonna learn first to crawl. If there's a mirror, to learn first to fold, to crawl. Or Babbitt, have you, lark, to overlook Jimmy from. To climb Jimmy high. To use in tie, to Babbitt, have you, lark, to look over Jimmy from. And so we have to read the rest that's up here before we get this to make read punny, before we understand this. So I'm going to get on that, and I'm leave you here, and I'll put this movie together. All right, good day.
When you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect. Why? Because history shows us that invariably the majority are always following a cul-de-sac or a dead end. Mahatma Gandhi, many people, especially ignorant people, want to punish you for speaking the truth, for being correct, for being you. Never apologize for being correct or being years ahead of your time. If you're right and you know it, speak your mind, speak your mind. Even if you are in a minority of one, the truth is still the truth. Birds born in a cage think flying is an illness. What you've been brought up with is your normal, however bloody mad it may be. What we're looking at is what I call bubble people. Bubble people. They live in a bubble of perception and reject anything outside of that perception. Thus, they stay in the bubble. And so all these institutions are programming beliefs and perceptions in the bubble. And unless you break out of it, they're the only perceptions you ever come across. And this is what they say to you. Look, mate, I live in the real world, me. All right, I've got that real world. Go to work, get married, have children, act normal. I am free. That's the real world they're talking about. The real world of human slavery masquerading as freedom. You can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. Can you remember who you were before the world told you what you should be? Can any of us remember that? When we're born into a world and from day one we're told who we are, what we should do, what reality is, what we should aspire to, what we should oppose, all of it. Just a program. If you sense more, there is more. Yes. It's people get stuck in the mode of thinking